Hey, what's going on everybody? It's ETA Prime back here again. Today we're going to be taking a look at an awesome little laptop that actually doesn't require a graphics card to game. Now we do have an iGPU, and one of the reasons we can actually get some really great gaming out of the way on this is because it's powered by an AMD Ryzen Phoenix Point APU. And just like a lot of other thin and light laptops on the market right now, we do have the option to add an external GPU. We'll take a look at all of that later on in the video. But what we have here is the ASUS ROG Flow X13, and in fact it is a gaming laptop, but it's also a two-in-one because we've got an absolutely beautiful 13.4-inch Nebula display from ASUS, and the overall design of this is amazing. This thing is super thin, super light. As you can see, it's got that carbon fiber texture all the way around. And it looks outstanding. Very portable. We've got a backlit keyboard here, massive trackpad given the size of this, and we've got that beautiful 13.4-inch 16:10 IPS display. This does support 10 points of touch, and it's actually pretty amazing what they were able to do with such a small form factor unit here, given the APU they chose to use. Now when it comes to I/O, over here on the right hand side, we have one USB 3.2 Gen 2 Type A port, so we've got that full-size USB. We've also got USB 3.2 Gen 2 Type C. This will function as DisplayPort 1.4 plus power delivery. And by the way, this does come with a 100-watt charger. And moving over to the left-hand side, we've got a 3.5mm audio combo jack, full-size HDMI 2.1, micro SD card reader, and this is a 4.0 reader. Plus, the ROG Flow X13 does support the ASUS XG mobile port. Now, if you're not familiar with this, basically we can go up to an RTX 4090 with their XG mobile eGPU adapters, and this does offer significantly more performance than Thunderbolt 4 or even USB 4, given that we're on an AMD platform here. And this is the same port that the ROG Ally has. On the channel, I've done some testing with an XG Mobile eGPU, and performance is absolutely amazing. So I suspect that on the Flow X13, we're going to get some great performance. But in this video, I wanted to use this laptop with the APU, just the iGPU. If you're interested, I can do another video with an XG Mobile eGPU connected. Let me know in the comments below. One of the main things I love about the X13 is just the overall size itself. We've got a 13.4-inch IPS display. This is their Nebula display, up to 120 Hz. We've got a resolution of 1920 by 1200. Backlit keyboard, massive trackpad given the size of this unit. And I did mention that this is a two-in-one, so we can actually fold this screen over, and you can use it in that tablet form factor if you wanted to. It'll fold right up on itself. Now when it comes to the specs of the Flow X13, for that APU, we've got the AMD Ryzen 9 7940HS. These cores are based on Zen 4. We've got 8 of them with 16 threads, base clock of 4 GHz, and a max boost up to 5.2. This APU definitely offers some amazing CPU performance, single and multi. We'll take a look at some benchmarks. And of course, we can always connect an XG mobile eGPU to this to really up that GPU performance. But in this video, we're strictly going to be using that iGPU, and this just happens to have the 780M. It's an RDNA 3 iGPU with 12 compute units up to 2800 MHz. They've paired this up with 16 GB of LPDDR5 RAM running at 6400 MHz. We've got that 13.4-inch 120 Hz display. It's got a 16:10 aspect ratio, resolution of 1920 by 1200, adaptive sync, 100% sRGB, and it does support Dolby Vision HDR. Storage is going to be handled by a PCIe 4.0 NVMe M.2 SSD, and this takes a 2230 model, so it's the smaller M.2 SSD. Wi-Fi 6E, Bluetooth 5.3. It's got a 75 watt-hour battery, and it's running Windows 11 right out of the box. Personally, I think this is a very usable laptop. If you wanted to go to tablet mode, you could definitely do it. Fold it right over on the back, and you can see we've got that Ryzen 9 7940HS, 16 GB of LPDDR5 running at 6400 MHz, and of course the 780M iGPU. I wanted to go ahead and jump into some gaming here, and first up we've got Mortal Kombat 1. We're at low settings, 1200p, and we do have FSR set to balance. We're right there on the edge. I'd say taking FSR to performance would be the way to go with this, because we do get some dips under 60, and when it comes to fighting games, I just like running them constant. But overall, I mean, this is some really good performance, just given that we're running on an iGPU. So before we get into benchmarks and more gaming, I wanted to talk a little bit about power management because it's very important for these Phoenix Point APUs. Of course, we could run this at a lower wattage and get less performance when it comes to gaming, but save a lot of battery life, or we could go all out with it. Now, there's several ways to go ahead and adjust this, and I've tested a few third-party applications, but luckily you actually don't need to install anything because we have Armoury Crate. And from here, we can totally adjust the TDP. I've got a few pre-made presets here: silent, performance, turbo, which does work really well, and we've also got manual. While plugged into the wall, we can do up to 65 watts on this APU, and we can also adjust the fan curve right here, so you can set this up basically however you want to. Obviously, at 65 watts, it's going to draw a lot more power from that battery, but if you want to get the best performance out of this iGPU, taking it up is definitely the way to go. The next thing I wanted to take a look at were some benchmarks that I ran on the X13, and keep in mind, we're in turbo mode right now from Armoury Crate. First up, Geekbench 6, single core 2561, multi 11503. These Phoenix Point APUs with the Zen 4 cores offer some great single and multi-core performance, but in turbo mode, we're up to around 50 watts here. Moving over to some GPU benchmarks with 3D Mark Night Raid, 29,028, Firestrike coming in with a 7,560, and the final one I ran here was Time Spy. With this, we got a 3,120. Not the highest scores that I've seen out of the 7940HS, but we're not at the highest wattage either. I've actually been able to take this APU up in other devices up to around 90 watts, and in Time Spy, we can get around 3,300. That's about maxed out there for the 7940HS, but these are synthetic benchmarks, and now it's time to see how this thing handles real-world gaming. First on the list, we've got Forza Horizon 5, 1200p medium settings. I got an average of 83 FPS. No FSR, we're not using any kind of screen scaling, looking absolutely amazing, and the 780M can definitely handle this game. Very well optimized, and I wish the new Forza Motorsports was. Hopefully in the future we'll get some optimizations, but this is a racing game that you can definitely play on this iGPU at full speed. I also ran the built-in Horizon Zero Dawn benchmark, 1200p original settings, FSR set to balanced. This is another one that I've always had really good luck with on these iGPUs, and by the end of this, we actually had an average of 73 FPS. I'm still holding out for some new updates on Forza Motorsports. When it comes to AMD drivers and even Microsoft updates for the game itself, it's been a little lackluster. I'm really hoping that they can get this performing as well as Forza Horizon 5, but I'm not sure if they will. I mean, the game looks amazing, and right now we're at 1200p low settings. We can't even get a steady 40 out of this game. Doom Eternal, 1200p medium settings, no resolution scale, we got an average of 76 FPS. And I know the game's getting a bit older, but I always like to test it on these iGPUs just to kind of give me a baseline. The final game here is Cyberpunk 2077. 1200p low settings. This is not the preset of low, because once we go there, you're going to notice that a lot of the settings are still at medium. So we're basically at the lowest settings, and FSR is set to performance here, and we can get an average of around 73 FPS. It's not bad, and of course, taking it down to 800p would net us a lot more. We can actually get an average of around 91 at 800p. But I wanted to run this at 1200 because it does make it look a lot better. And performance isn't bad on the 780M. So far, I've really been enjoying the Flow X13 just on the iGPU, but like I mentioned, if you're interested in seeing an XG Mobile eGPU connected to this, let me know in the comments below. We could definitely open this thing up, get much better performance at those higher resolutions. But for a lot of people out there, the 780M would be great for now, and then later on you could actually upgrade the GPU. Now, when it comes to just using this as an everyday laptop, that 7940HS offers more than enough performance even at lower wattages. You want to do some photo editing, like video editing, web browsing, email checking, 4K video playback, this is going to handle it just fine. And it's coming in with a very slim form factor. I really do like the design they've come up with for the Flow X13. But that's going to wrap it up for my first look video. If you're interested in seeing anything else running on this laptop, just let me know in the comments below. And, if you want to learn a little more, I'll leave some links in the description. You can head over to the official ASUS website or even Best Buy to pick this up. But that's it for this one. Like always, thanks for watching.